Have you ever hung up the phone with someone you love, a friend or a family member, and felt completely exhausted? Like you just ran a marathon you didn't sign up for. This isn't just a feeling, it's a real and measurable drain on your life force. 99% of people will keep letting this happen, never understanding the final, most important boundary, and that is the hidden reason their peace is constantly being stolen. Energy audit. Before we can spot the signals in others, we must first understand the landscape of our own inner world. Think of your personal energy not as an infinite well, but as a bank account. Every single interaction you have is either a deposit or a withdrawal. A healthy, reciprocal relationship is like a good investment. It has a balanced flow, and over time, it grows, leaving you with a net surplus of energy, of joy, of connection. But some relationships are different. They are silent, relentless withdrawals. These are the interactions with the people we love who are, for a variety of complex reasons, living with what we can call a demon, a deeply ingrained pattern of negativity, of chaos, of neediness. They are not bad people, but they are, from an energetic perspective, profoundly expensive to be around. The science behind this is fascinating. Researchers talk about concepts like emotional contagion and secondhand stress. When you are in a conversation with someone, your brain's mirror neurons are firing. You are, on a subconscious neurological level, trying on their emotional state. If they are in a state of high anxiety, your body begins to produce a low-grade echo of that same cortisol-fueled stress response. If they are in a state of chronic complaint, your brain begins to map their patterns of negativity. You are literally catching their state of being, like a social flu. After the age of 60, our energetic reserves may not be as vast as they once were. Our immune systems, both physical and emotional, are more discerning. We can no longer afford to spend our precious energy on these costly interactions without a plan. The first step is to conduct a simple, honest energy audit. For 1 week, at the end of each day, I want you to think about the significant conversations and interactions you had. And next to each person's name, I want you to simply write a plus sign, plus, for a deposit, or a minus sign, for a withdrawal. Be radically honest with yourself. This is not about judgment. It is about data collection. After a phone call with your sister, do you feel lighter, energized, seen? That's a deposit. After coffee with an old friend who spent the entire time complaining about their job, do you feel heavy, drained, and a little bit sad? That's a withdrawal. This simple audit is the first step in seeing the hidden patterns. You are moving from a vague feeling of being tired to a clear, data-driven understanding of who the demons or the energy drains are in your life. You are not labeling them as bad people. You are simply acknowledging, with clarity and without guilt, the true cost of your interactions. This is the foundation upon which all strategies for protecting your peace must be built. Verbal cues. Once you have identified the sources of the energy drain, you can begin to spot the specific signals they send. These demons are not visible to the naked eye. They are patterns of behavior, and they reveal themselves most clearly through language. The first and most common verbal cue is the language of problem-finding, not solution-seeking. This is the person who, when you offer a suggestion or a piece of good news, immediately counters with a yes, but. Their mind is a heat-seeking missile for the negative. You say, "I'm thinking of planting a garden this year." They say, "Yes, but the squirrels will just eat everything." You say, "I found a great deal on a flight to visit the kids." They say, "Yes, but the airports are a nightmare this time of year." This isn't a conversation, it's a game of whack-a-mole with your optimism. They are not seeking a solution, they are seeking validation for their own state of negativity. To engage with this is to volunteer to have your own positive energy systematically dismantled. The second verbal cue is the gossip hook. This is a subtle but powerful way that a person in a state of chaos will try to pull you into their drama. It often starts with a baited question like, "Can you believe what Susan did?" Or, "Did you hear about what happened to Mark?" This is not a genuine inquiry. It is an invitation to a low vibration space. It is a test to see if you are willing to join them in the act of judging, of speculating, of creating a we versus them dynamic. To take this bait, to engage in the gossip, is to allow your own energy to become entangled in a story that is not yours and that is almost always rooted in negativity and conflict. It's a quick, cheap, and ultimately draining form of connection that is built on the misfortune or missteps of others. The third verbal cue is the use of catastrophic and absolute language. This is the person who speaks in a constant state of emergency. Everything is a disaster. Things are always terrible. They will never get a break. Their boss is the worst person in the world. This is the language of a victim mindset. It is a way of seeing the world that leaves no room for nuance, for hope, or for personal agency. When you are in a conversation with someone who uses this language, you are being invited into a reality that is a black and white, high-stakes drama. It is an exhausting theatrical performance, and you are being cast in the role of the audience or the rescuer. To accept this role is to agree to sit in a theater of anxiety. A person who is at peace, who is in their own power, speaks with more nuance, with more curiosity, and with a sense of perspective. Learning to spot these verbal cues is like learning to read the weather forecast. You can see the storm coming, and you can make a conscious choice whether or not to walk out into the rain. Nonverbal signals. The body does not lie. Long before the verbal cues become obvious, the demon or the draining pattern will reveal itself through a person's nonverbal communication. These signals are often subconscious, but they are a direct broadcast of a person's inner state. Learning to read them is a superpower that allows you to protect your peace before a single word is even spoken. The first and most powerful nonverbal signal is a chronic lack of reciprocal mirroring. Mirroring is a natural, subconscious behavior where we subtly mimic the body language of the person we are in a positive connection with. They smile, we smile. They lean in, we lean in. It's the brain's way of saying, I am with you. We are in sync. The energy drainer often fails to do this. You will offer a warm smile, and it will be met with a flat, neutral expression. You will share a piece of exciting news with an animated gesture, and they will remain still, almost inert. They are not meeting you on your energetic level. Instead, they are an energetic black hole, forcing you to pour more and more of your own positive energy into the interaction just to keep it afloat. You will leave feeling exhausted because you have been the only one dancing. The second nonverbal signal is what I call the emotional leak. This is when a person's words say one thing, but their body says another, and the body's message is consistently negative. They might say, "Oh, I'm so happy for you," but it will be accompanied by a micro-expression of a frown, a slight clenching of the jaw, or a folding of the arms. They say, "No, it's fine, don't worry about it," but their vocal tone is tight and clipped, and they are avoiding eye contact. This incongruence is a powerful sign of a person who is not at peace with themselves, a person who is suppressing a negative emotion. Your brain picks up on this mismatch, and it creates a sense of unease and distrust in you. You are spending your cognitive energy trying to decode the two conflicting messages, which is incredibly draining. A person who is at peace is congruent. Their words, their tone, and their body language are all telling the same clear and honest story. The third nonverbal signal is the closed-off posture as a baseline. Pay attention to a person's neutral state. When they are just listening or sitting in a group, what is their default physical signature? For many energy drainers, it is a closed-off posture. Their arms are perpetually crossed, their shoulders are slightly hunched, they may subtly angle their body away from the conversation. This is a nonverbal armor. It is a signal that they are in a defensive, self-protective state. It communicates on a deep level that they are not truly open to connection, that they are guarding a wound. To engage with a person who is in this constant state of armored defense requires a huge amount of your own energy. You are essentially trying to have a conversation with someone who is hiding behind a wall. It is a slow, frustrating, and often fruitless process. A person who is at peace, even when they are quiet, has an open and relaxed posture. Their body language says, "I am here, I am open, I am safe." And that is an energy that creates a deposit, not a withdrawal. Protection strategies. Spotting the signals is the first step, but knowledge without action is useless. The next step is to learn the practical, science-backed strategies for protecting your own energy when you are in an interaction with a person who is draining. This is not about being rude or confrontational or abandoning the people you love. It is about learning to manage the interaction with skill and wisdom so that you can maintain the connection without sacrificing your own peace. The first and most powerful strategy is the time container. Before you enter a conversation with a known energy drainer, you set a clear, firm time limit in your own mind. You might decide, "I will talk to my mother for 15 minutes." Then you communicate this boundary gently and proactively at the beginning of the call. Hi, Mom, it's so good to hear your voice. I've only got about 15 minutes before I have to jump on another call, but I wanted to check in and see how you are. You have just framed the entire interaction. You have created a container. This does two things. Internally, it allows your nervous system to relax because you know there is a clear endpoint. You are not trapped. Externally, it often makes the other person get to the point more quickly. This simple strategy can be the difference between a draining, hour-long complaint session and a focused 15-minute connection. The second strategy is the subject pivot. An energy drainer will often try to pull the conversation into their favorite topics of negativity, their health problems, their financial woes, the latest family drama. Your job is to be the gentle but firm captain of the conversational ship. You must learn to pivot. The technique is to acknowledge and redirect. You first acknowledge their point briefly to show you have heard them, and then you immediately pivot to a different, more neutral or positive topic. For example, if they say, I just had a terrible week, my back was acting up again, you can say, I'm so sorry to hear your back was bothering you. Acknowledge. On a different note, I saw that new movie you were telling me about, and I wanted to ask you what you thought of the ending. Redirect. You are not dismissing their pain. You are simply refusing to let the conversation build a nest in that negative space. It takes practice, but it is a graceful way to steer the interaction towards a more life-affirming shore. The third strategy is a powerful internal tool I call the energy shield. This is a visualization practice that you can do just before an interaction. It is about priming your own mindset. Close your eyes for 30 seconds. Take a few deep breaths. And I want you to visualize yourself surrounded by a warm, protective bubble of light. This is your personal energy field. In your mind, you set the intention that this shield is permeable to love, to kindness, to genuine connection, but it is impermeable to negativity, to complaint, to drama. The negative energy will simply hit the shield and harmlessly slide off. This may sound like a woo-woo practice, but there is real science to it. You are using a visualization to create a psychological state of benevolent detachment. You are priming your brain to be an observer of the negativity, not a sponge for it. You are making a conscious, preemptive decision not to take on the other person's emotional state. This simple 30-second ritual can fundamentally change the quality of your experience, allowing you to remain in a state of calm, centered peace, even in the midst of someone else's storm. Final boundary. We have talked about how to spot the signals and how to manage the interactions, but there is one final and most important boundary. This is the one that 99% of people are too afraid to implement, and it is the ultimate key to protecting your peace. This is the practice of curating your inner circle. This is the understanding that your time and your energy are your most precious, non-renewable resources, and you have the absolute right to be fiercely selective about who gets access to them. Not everyone who has been in your life in the past has earned a place in your future. This is a difficult and often painful truth, but it is a necessary one. The energy audit you performed was the first step. It gave you the data. Now, you must have the courage to act on that data. For the people who are a consistent, heavy, and unrelenting drain on your life force, you may need to make a difficult choice. This does not mean you have to have a dramatic, confrontational breakup. It can be a quiet, gradual process of creating more and more distance. It is the practice of loving them from afar. You can send them a card on their birthday. You can wish them well in your heart. But you can also choose not to answer the phone every time they call. You can choose to politely decline their invitations. You are not punishing them. You are prioritizing your own well-being. You are making the conscious choice that your own peace is more important than their comfort. This is not an act of selfishness. It is an act of profound self-respect. It is the ultimate statement that you understand your own value. Your inner circle, the people you give your most precious time and energy to, should be a source of mutual upliftment, of inspiration, of joy, of support. It should be a garden, not a battlefield. To allow a person who is consistently a source of chaos and negativity to occupy a central place in your life is like knowingly allowing a weed to choke out your most beautiful flowers. This is the final boundary. It is the culmination of all the others. It is the recognition that you are the sole sovereign ruler of your own life. You are the guardian at the gate of your own temple, and you get to decide who is allowed to enter. To make this choice, to consciously and lovingly curate the cast of characters in your own beautiful, unfolding story, is the most powerful act of self-love you can undertake. It is the ultimate way to protect your peace, not just for a moment or for a day, but for the rest of your precious life. Which of these signals, verbal or nonverbal, was the biggest aha moment for you, the one that made you immediately think of a specific person or situation in your own life? Be honest, this recognition is the first step toward peace.